in the studio to talk about this is political analyst Younes Sadighani, who is an Iranian-born man himself. Younes, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Alex.
Let's perhaps start off by talking about what's happening in Iran right now.
Yeah, so before I answer your question, let me just tell you something that happened to me personally yesterday, because I was actually jumped by a group of 5 men outside the Iranian embassy. And these people were claiming to be pro-Pahlavi people. And they made up this story about me saying that I somehow swore at him or said some negative things, which is completely untrue. I've always supported Pahlavi, which is the official opposition to the Islamic Republic. However, it made me think. I was thinking to myself, there's no way these guys are actually pro-Pahlavi. There might be IRGC members...
Which is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Exactly. Right. Iranian Revolutionary Guard pretending to be pro-Pahlavis and then targeting people like me.
And, we do know that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard have actively tried to assassinate people in Britain. We're aware of that.
Like Puriya Zarati.
Correct.
Yeah.
And on your case, we have contacted the Met Police, of course, and we know that it's an ongoing case at the moment, in this moment in time. So no significant arrests have been made yet, but we'll of course, keep the audience updated on that.
Yeah.
And this is a common theme we see, isn't it, with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. All around the world, they push Islamism, they push their radical terrorism onto other countries, with Hezbollah, with Hamas. They're funding terrorism all around the world. But Iranian people in Iran are now standing up saying enough's enough.
Yeah, because Iranians are actually very open-minded people, and I think originally we're not even Muslim, we're Zoroastrian. The Persians are just very open-minded in general. They don't have the Arab culture even. So what's happening in Iran now, after 47 years of this totalitarian, theocratic Islamic extremist regime, people are just sick and tired because people just don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have gas. Iran is one of the richest countries in the world. In terms of GDP, they can be the top 5 GDPs in the world. Yet all that money is spent by the Islamic Republic on groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, destabilizing countries like this. And you know, Qatar and Iran, they share a gas field. And because there is sanctions on Iran, Qatar gets the check and then gives a check to Islamic Republic. So a lot of the infiltration that's happening by the Qataris actually traces back to the Islamic Republic. And I think they're the head of the snake. If the Islamic Republic of Iran falls, there will be peace in the Middle East, right? And at this moment in time, we have the official opposition, which is Shahzadeh Reza Pahlavi, which I completely support and I would like to completely get behind.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Younes, we here at GB News and people watching at home will be wishing the Iranian people their best in their struggle to remove this. You can see the clips on your screen now. Honestly, it is really unprecedented what's happening in there. And I want to give my full support to the Iranian people and hope they can overthrow this dictator. I've got my other members of the panel here tonight, of course. Author and academic Dr. Lisa Mackenzie's joining me. Former Met Police detective Peter Blexley's here, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Peter, I'll start with you, bring you into this conversation. Iran is what used to be the cradle of civilization for the entire world, and it's been captured by Islamist thugs, in my opinion. What do you make of the situation over there?
Well, the first thing that hugely irritates me is that matters many thousands of miles from Britain end up getting played out via violence on the streets of London, via what happened to Younes yesterday. That kind of stuff really irritates me, and it's a very strong argument as to why we should be so careful who we let into this country. So moving on, Younes, you're rampantly naive, my friend. I bow to your greater knowledge of Iran, of course, but getting rid of this leadership in Iran is not going to lead to peace in the Middle East. There's a blanket kind of nirvana that's suddenly going to appear,
it's going
unfortunately.
To be very challenging. I agree with you, it's going to be very challenging, but you have to look at history before 1979 when the Shah was in power, and Shah was the police officer of the Middle East. There was no significant wars in the Middle East up until 1979. But then after 1979, 2 things happened, actually. Is when the Saudis kicked out all the Wahhabis, all the extremists, and they went to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Islamic Republic happened. So the Saudis managed to kind of externalize the extremism, kicked all those people out of their country, and then those people came to Iran and Afghanistan, Syria. That's what happened. And I think, look, it's not going to be easy. No one said it's going to be easy, but in terms of just looking at it from a geopolitical aspect, you have a country that's destabilized, that's very rich, by the way, very rich, and is spending all that money to destabilize the Middle East and by extension destabilize the West.
Of course. Oh yeah, and we see evidence of that. But of course, the extremism has got so entrenched in other countries now throughout the Middle East. So it's not going to disappear overnight.
It's not going to disappear overnight, but let me just tell you one last thing. 60% of Iranians don't consider themselves Muslims anymore. I think Iranians are not radicals, and they're not even Sunni Muslims, they're Shia Muslims. But according to the latest statistics, as I said, majority of Iranians have said no to Islam, and actually our culture is originally Zoroastrian. So Islam, that was something imposed on us. So we have this common thing with Israel. Iranians and Israelis have this common thing in the Middle East where they don't feel like they fit in, you know? And that's what we're trying to do.
Adam, we've seen these protests play out, and I think there's a warning for Britain, isn't there? A warning that Iranians tell me time and time again that be careful of Islamism partnered with socialism because they are radical. They become even more radicalised and quite dangerous.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say is I went football today with a group of friends. We was in the car, spoke about Venezuela and Trump. And then I said, what about Iran? And the people in the car did not know what I was talking about. And the reason is because our mainstream media is not covering this like they should. This is a huge event in the Middle East. It should be headlines, it should be on rolling news, and it isn't. So there's a lot of people in Britain that are naive to the fact what's going on at the moment. What makes me laugh, really, with the left in this country, or some of the left in this country, they stay quiet when the killing or the oppression is via Islamic extremists. They don't want to stick up for women in Iran. They don't want to put their head above the parapet, right? Because it's not trendy. Palestine was trendy. Iran is not. Let's remember, this is a country with leaders that are threatening the West. They want death to America, death to Western culture. So, look, at the end of the day, it will be a great thing if the people, really a democratic uprising, can topple this regime and a stable government put in place. That would be good for the world.
Lisa?
Yeah, I've always had a lot of admiration for the Iranian people just because of the culture that has come out of Iran. And watching the scenes, I am really frightened actually for those people because they're doing this themselves. They're coming out of their houses, they're protesting, they're fighting against an absolutely horrific regime. And so, you know, the bravery that those people, you know, I think we've got to really sort of take our hats off to those people, but also know the danger that they are in. We should never underestimate the evil, especially of the Revolutionary Guard.
Exactly. I completely agree, and that's why I would really exercise some caution here, because, and I'm not being demeaning in any way, shape or form, so please don't think I am, but the burning of a few posters and the taking off of a few hijabs is not going to get rid of this religious, zealot, murderous regime that would shoot people dead rather than allow them to have a free voice.
What's it going to take, Yunus, to topple the regime?
So I agree with you. It's not going to be able just for the people, because as I said, the people in Iran are hungry. They don't have enough water, they don't have enough electricity. So at some point they're going to run out of energy, right? So they can't do it by themselves because we don't have freedom of speech in Iran. You get shot if you go and protest. So would you take that risk if you knew there was a chance like someone would sniper you? So we need international support. What is international support? Exactly what Israel done during the 12-day war. Strategic striking of nuclear facilities, military facilities, IRGC members, and also having a viable opposition that can come and take over charge. It's not going to be easy. Iran's probably going to be in transition for the next 2 to 3 years. But in 2 to 3 years, then people can have a referendum of what kind of a leader they want, what kind of a government that they want, and whatever is going to happen.
A final question to you then, Yunus. Would you welcome the support of President Trump, who said Washington's locked and loaded? He said if more civilians die, they're going to get involved. Would you welcome that?
I 100% welcome that, and I wish the UK had a leader like that. Unfortunately, we have one like Nigel Farage, but unfortunately, we didn't have a leader like this up until Trump. And I think it was the Democrats that actually caused the revolution in 1979 with President Carter. And Donald Trump is saying, he's giving the confidence to Iranians that they didn't have for the last 47 years, because they didn't have any support, saying, you go and protest, we will look after you. Like, in the back of your mind, that must give you so much courage to say, you know, America is going to come behind you. And it's going to put shiver in the boots of those that have...
And this will send the lefties into meltdown, but what we need is some good old CIA insurgents funding and supplying of weapons and all of that.
What we're underestimating here, these protests are nearly in every town and city throughout Iran. If some from the army defect or refuse to go against the people police refuse to go against the people, this could rapidly escalate the situation. Iran is in lockdown, really, at the moment. Nothing can happen. But if those authorities refuse to go against their own people, this will accelerate it, and I think we could see it within days or weeks.
Well, listen, we'll keep you updated on this story here at GB News. Of course, we are always dedicated to telling the truth here and telling it as it is. Yunus, thank you very much. Brave of you to come on tonight. I really appreciate it, and our best of luck to the Iranian people. I am very much behind you, at least. There you go. Time now for a Great British Giveaway.